Well, it's being called the most important election India has ever faced. In fact, I've rarely seen an election where emotions are running so high and where every Indian is so closely tracking every move our leaders make. It's almost as though these elections have done the impossible, displaced cricket as our main focus of attention. Everybody's saying, for good or for bad, depending on each person's point of view, this is being seen as a watershed election for India. This election, they say, will change India. So who will be the next Prime Minister and how will he or she change this country? Over the next 2 hours, we'll present the state-by-state forecast of the biggest series of opinion polls and exit polls ever done. It begins tonight. And perhaps for all of us, including Dorab, although he's much more rigorous than all of us put together, we are using the most rigorous methodology ever used. And we shall be explaining the details of that methodology a little later tonight as we go through the results of the poll state by state. Now, before we start with our forecast for the first state, I must say that these moments in our democracy, the Election Commission makes me, and I'm sure all of us, proud to be Indian. Apart from our path-breaking electronic voting machines which have ended booth capturing for various reasons I won't go into now, and much of the corruption associated with ballot papers and saved millions of trees, the manner in which this Election Commission, this and all the previous ones, stay impartial, trusted, and is firm and decisive makes the conduct of Indian elections admired all across the world. So, first of all, our congratulations and gratitude to the Election Commission of India. Now, before any more, let's quickly go on to the state-by-state forecast. Got a lot of states to go through. And to analyze and understand the results, we have the one and only Dorab Sopariwala, Mr. Rigger. So, all the errors, as I always say, are his. Siddharth Vardarajan, senior journalist, and the boss of all of us, Shekhar Gupta. And joining us from Mumbai is Sudhendra Kulkarni. Thanks very much, Sudhendra, for joining us. Let's kick off with the first state. Here's the poll forecast for the state of Karnataka. This is what it looks like. Let's go with the news in the nose. This is the final forecast for the state of Karnataka. Now, this is if the BJP and Yediyurappa, their former leader who was expelled and now rejoined, if they had remained separate, how many seats would the BJP have won? 4 seats with 30% of the votes. How many would the other parties have won? The Congress would have won 20 seats with 38% of the votes, and Yediyurappa, this JDS, would have won 3 seats, and Mr. Yediyurappa probably just 1 seat. So that's what would have happened if they had not come together. Now, the BJP had to make a decision based on the arithmetic of elections versus the real politic of taking on somebody they had expelled because he'd been accused of corruption. So now that they've got together, what does the poll forecast say for Karnataka? Let's have a look at the results for Karnataka. The final results as the alliances stand today. Remember, there are 28 seats. The BJP will actually get 20 seats. That's up from 5 just because of the arithmetic of the alliance. The Congress 6 and the JDS the balance. There you are, 2 seats for the JDS, which is down 1 since last time. Now remember, we're saying BJP 20 up 1 since the last Lok Sabha, but in between they have had an assembly election where they hit a trough. So this is a bounce back, Dorab, of the BJP, but mainly because of arithmetic, not because of change in popularity.
That's right, there is no bounce back at all. Though in the Vidhan Sabha they actually lost some votes and they had the split. So there was a double whammy.
Right.
Now Mr. Yediyurappa brings, for approximately every 2 votes that the BJP brings, Mr. Yediyurappa brings 1 vote. So, you know, suddenly your votes are up almost 50% in relative terms. And then you are the winner. I mean, you've got much more going for you.
So, Shekhar, do you think this was a smart decision in the end? Do you think the BJP did get quite a lot of flack from the Indian Express and many other newspapers for taking back Yediyurappa? But look at this, from 5 to 20 seats, a four-fold increase.
Well, this also tells you the power of the regional leader. And to that extent, BJP acknowledges that much more healthily, I use that expression with caution right now, than say the Congress. Congress did nothing to accommodate Jagan Mohan Reddy.
Right.
Given
In
the
fact,
popularity of
the point you're making, just look at the votes.
YSR.
Here we are going with the seats, but if we go and have a look at the votes forecast for each of the states, each of these parties, let's have a look at the votes forecast that the opinion poll suggests for these 28 seats. This is the point you're making about the strength of the regional leader. From 30%, the BJP plus Yediyurappa has gone to 44%.
So BJP was willing to concede that Karnataka is Yediyurappa's state. Congress was never willing to concede that Andhra Pradesh is YSR's state. And you see the contrasting results in the two places. In fact, that will determine the election. But frankly, Prannoy,
44% of the BJP, 38% of the Congress.
Frankly, Prannoy, if I see this trend, I mean, it's, as you would say, early days, yet we've only seen one state, at least I have seen only one state. Right. If there is a 6% vote differential in Karnataka, where Congress had expected to see do very well, then if I was a congressman, I would shudder to think what lies ahead. And I think if this trend continues, then I don't know how many NDA gets, but NDA to UPA may even be 1:4. At best 1:3, but maybe 1:4, as bad as that. Yes. Because if there's an 8% gap in 6% gap in Karnataka, then I think you're going to see a very different kind of election.
Though, Siddharth, is that it's not in this case because of a swing or a change in popularity. Here it's just arithmetic of election. This is psephology working in practice.
You know, until a few months ago, the received wisdom, certainly in Congress circles, was that Karnataka was one state where the party was expecting to increase its number of seats. Going by the assembly results of 2013, the Yediyurappa factor did not seem all that significant, right? I mean, the Congress got about 38-39% of the vote share. BJP plus Yediyurappa, if their vote shares added up to about 30, I think 30. There was a difference of 6 or 7% in the vote share during the last last assembly results, which suggests that what we are seeing now, if these numbers are accurate, that there is some additional lift that is happening as a result of these two forces coming together. What's causing that is hard to say, but I think it's definitely bad news for the Congress, because
So it's a smart decision in the end, do you think?
Well, I think
real politics.
No, I would look at it two ways. It's clear, right? 42 to 44. The BJP got 42% the last time around with Yediyurappa in the party, right. And essentially it was Yediyurappa's mishandling of the state that led to the debacle of 2013. My sense is that even without Yediyurappa, going by the national trend, the BJP would have done well in Karnataka. So I just wonder whether the additional bounce that he brings is worth the negative karma that gets generated by his presence in the party.
Let me bring in somebody on the ground from Bangalore, H.R. Ranganathan, Editor-in-Chief of Public TV. Ranga, thanks very much for joining us. What did you feel, or what was the general reaction in Karnataka when Yediyurappa was accepted back into the BJP? Was it considered a smart move to get more votes and seats, or did everybody think this was a damaging step?
Prannoy, thanks a lot for calling me in. Politically, I don't think people bother much about who is joining whom in these days, because they have quickly realized everything is going to be a matter of convenience to each one of them, whether someone is corrupt or not. But arithmetically, I don't know whether these figures are or appears to be all right. If it is okay, then I think Karnataka has a history of voting very differently, Prannoy. 1985, go back, when Ramakrishna Hegde severely loses out in the parliamentary elections to the Congress, whereas when he dissolves the assembly and goes to poll again to the people by taking a moralistic stand that I do not have the support of the people, he is returned back to the power. So the Karnataka has a history of voting very differently. I think this is one thing which is maybe happening in Karnataka this time too. If you look back, what has happened in the assembly and the last parliamentary elections, Prannoy, 41% was the BJP vote share last time when they took 19 seats. And they were in power, remember. And Karnataka, you should be, I don't know whether I should be proud of it, because the central focal point in Karnataka is corruption and should be corruption. Again, that's a different issue altogether. But the 41% they took, now they are getting 44% according to the survey what you are showing, which means they are up by 3%. Look at the Congress. It's very wonderful it is. Their percentage of votes simply does not change at all as compared to the Lok Sabha elections of the last time, which is 38%. But the seat arithmetic says they are going to get 1 seat more, and Congress is going to get roughly 3 seats less, including the 2 by-election victories they achieved in the last 4 months or 5 months, which means the JDS is losing out the ground in Karnataka. Right. This is something very strange pattern that is happening in Karnataka, Prannoy. Here is a state party led by the Honorable Prime Minister, one and the only we have in Karnataka, Mr. Deve Gowda, is giving away the field and the room to the national parties, whereas it might be reverse in many other states where the national parties are losing ground to the state party. Set apart all this.
Just,
you were asking
Ranga, just one second.
Smart decision.
I'll just come back to you, Ranga. I just want to ask Sudhindra Kulkarni, who's one of the most brilliant minds in analyzing elections for years that I know. Sudhindra, this kind of trade-off between real politics of getting more seats versus taking the flak, you're going to face it in other states as well, like Haryana, for example. Do you think this is a good decision, or in the long run it could hurt the BJP? What do you feel?
See, as far as your projections on Karnataka are concerned, I would like to make 3 points.
Yeah.
First is that somehow corruption is not going to be a major issue in this election, not only in Karnataka but all over the country, because the issue of corruption has really got muddled. Number 2, I have a slight doubt, because I have been to Karnataka very recently, I have spoken to a lot of people.
Right.
I have a slight doubt whether the BJP tally would be as high as 20. It would certainly be close to 20, but 20 is really a record figure for the BJP.
Right.
Thirdly, the image of the Chief Minister, Siddaramaiah, is fairly good.
It is very good, yes.
And that is going to help, the Congress party to a certain extent.
You're right, absolutely.
So it should not be discounted at all. And therefore, I feel that Karnataka would be not be so bad for the Congress.
You could be right. Of course, in all this entire sample survey, as we will give you the methodology later, we have a plus or minus 2% sampling error because it is a large sample. Normally, it could be higher than that, but plus or minus 2%. So, none of these figures we're going to put forward to you all night are going to be absolutely certain figures. Always take them with a health warning. So, Ranga, the point is, Sudhindra is absolutely right. We did ask another question. We don't have time for putting up all our results here. But Siddaramaiah did very well in the popularity stakes as a chief minister. Ranga.
I think I missed out your last comment, Prannoy. Can you repeat, please?
No, I just said that we also did ask many other questions in Karnataka, and Sudhindra's point is quite right. We asked about the popularity of the chief minister, and the current chief minister, Congress chief minister, did very well in that. But people seem to be distinguishing between state politics, the point you were making, and Lok Sabha politics.
I think that's a fair point, Prannoy, because Siddaramaiah per se as an individual, I don't think he's tainted with corruption or anything. But look at the paradox that is getting enacted itself in Karnataka. What a strange situation. Here is a UPA government too, which is accused of massive corruption and which has become a central focal point for everybody in the national scenario. Whereas, you come back to Karnataka, the BJP attacks everybody on corruption, but in Karnataka, they takes back Yediyurappa or Sri Ramalu or whoever it is. Whereas on the other side, Mr. Siddaramaiah also has to face the flack of taking Shivakumar, Roshan Beg, such type of a tainted people. I think I really agree at one point of time with Sudhindra on whether the people are really looking into an issue of corruption in Karnataka at all. Because I don't know, but Siddaramaiah should be the only rescue for Karnataka, it appears. Otherwise, I don't know, it's a good news for BJP. It could be really a bad news for Congress. Because if Congress has any chance of getting more number of seats in the southern part of the country, I think it's only Karnataka. It's same with BJP. It could be Andhra, it could be Tamil Nadu, and it could be anywhere. Congress has a chance of getting more seats in Karnataka, and it's same for the BJP too. So naturally, both are fighting. But finally, it is emerging out in Karnataka. Neither the BJP nor the Congress led by Siddaramaiah wants to pit it as a state government versus the Congress, the BJP. Rather, everyone wants to project it as, you know, some sort of an anticipatory bail for tomorrow, so that it could be Modi versus Rahul Gandhi. I think Modi
that is the distinction.
I completely agree with your one point, which you made it in the opening remark. That's a very emotional issue, which might be working for BJP to certain extent, but may not be to the extent what we are predicting, because I don't know whether they will be able to touch that 20 mark. My hunch is they may become the single largest party, but not necessarily with that large number.
Okay,
I
Ranga.
see such a bad hope for Congress altogether.
Sometimes I respect on the ground gut feel, sometimes more than data, but I don't have gut feel. I just go by data, and this is what the data shows. But thanks very much for joining us. Corruption, not an issue in Karnataka, because, as always says, both sides are corrupt or seem to be corrupt, and therefore the voter can't choose, make that a voting issue, although that is a very important issue. Corruption is a crucial issue in voters' hierarchy of issues. But you need two things to make an issue an election issue. One, it's got to be important to the voter. Two, one party has got to be better than the other party at it. And if both sides are seen to be corrupt, it's not an election issue.
Just one
sad
quick
though it
point.
is. Yeah.
Karnataka was the biggest contributor to the BJP kitties last time, as Andhra was to the Congresses. So this is something they need to hold on to. Contribute very
So
strongly.
I'm just curious, did AAP figure in the vote share at all?
Not
in
yet,
Karnataka?
you know, we have, this was done about 3 weeks ago, and we've been tracking since then. I think it was a bit early. He hasn't quite had an impact there. You will generally find in the whole survey, so far, Aam Aadmi Party has not had a big impact outside Delhi. But there's a lot of time to go.
This leader
really,
has. He's seen
the
all
leader
over
has,
know
but
him,
not the party
but
yet, not the organization.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to our second state. Quickly on to the fascinating state of Tamil Nadu. There used to be a time when one party used to win all 39 seats and the other 0, and then the other way around. Those days have changed. This is what Tamil Nadu forecast looks like right now. 39 seats in Tamil Nadu. The Jayalalitha's AIADMK 27 seats. That's up 18 seats since last time. The DMK 10 seats, down 8, and other parties 2. And if we look at the vote share, it actually exaggerates, if you ask me, the AIADMK's strength in this election. Almost 45, is 44.6, and the DMK 28%. And the BJP coming in pretty strong at 8%. Almost equal, actually it's a little above the Congress in decimal points. We rounded everything up for, we don't want to pretend spurious accuracy. And the DMDK also doing quite well, because it's in a, it's not all across the state, it's in a particular area, and they're 4%. So this Shekhar, so far no alliances here. It's a state where normally everybody allies with everybody. You know the state well, Siddharth. This time they're all, it still could happen, but look at what Jayalalitha is doing anyway.
But still, if you look at the history of coalitions in India, you cannot form a coalition without the leading Dravid party.
Yes.
And for these parties, the ideology is entirely fungible with a share in power. And then these are one leader run parties, so they can decide whether they want to share power in Delhi or by having ministers in the cabinet, or they deny themselves that privilege and just have other favors from the center. So chances are that the leading party will be in the ruling coalition.
In the ruling coalition. So, I mean, whoever it is, you think...
And it actually suits whoever is going to form the central government, that you have one, that the winner take as many seats as possible. I mean, converting vote share to seats is always a bit of mumbo jumbo. But I suspect with a 45% vote share,
they could get
she's looking at many more seats than 27.
I mean, it's a 17% gap between between her
but
and
the same gap
DMK.
happened last time, and it's similar vote seat share. So it's a lot of distribution involved.
That's right.
Doram?
Not all parties do well everywhere. Then there are alliances. You know, we have some states where the 60-20 vote share, and the seats are not 100-0.
Right.
You know, the guy with the larger vote share starts benefiting, but there is it's basically a two-party situation. A certain distribution lands up at the end of it. It's not a straight that you get 100% of the seats.
But I think a significant thing is in a state like Tamil Nadu, BJP edging ahead of Congress party.
Yes.
That is very significant. And if we start seeing a similar trend, say in a state like West Bengal, then I think it will tell you that the country's politics is now going through
in fact, BJP in alliance with the captain will, can, and I think MDMK is also part of the alliance.
Yeah.
I think that alliance could be actually looking at 2-3 seats easily.
Quite right. Let's bring in Cho Ramaswamy here. Cho, thanks very much for joining us. I still remember from the old days, I still quote something you said to us a long time ago. How can corruption be an issue when it's a choice between a thief and a pickpocket? Is India still like that? That's your words.
Yes. It continues to be so, but now it is between thief and thief.
Thief and thief. So you've upgraded the pickpocket. I see.
Yes.
But
Yes.
but
The pickpocket has graduated.
So what is the on the ground issue that's driving these the votes in this Tamil Nadu election this time?
Here you see it is the DMK's fall. There is a daily erosion in my opinion in the DMK vote, because the DMK cadre itself is very much annoyed with the family politics of the leadership. He feels let down as if he is nobody. The DMK cadre is supposed to work hard among all known parties all over the country. The DMK cadre was known to work very hard, but they have lost interest in the party because of the family politics of the leadership. That is what helps the ADMK more than anything else.
Right.
Apart from that, as far as corruption is concerned, 2G looms large here. And Karnataka was with the centre till yesterday. And when people blame the Congress, they blame Karnataka along with that. It is quite natural. He having been in the UPA government for quite a long time.
But now you're contradicting
he kept
yourself.
writing letters to the Prime Minister.
Now you're contradicting yourself. You said corruption is never an issue because both it's thief versus thief, but now you're saying it is an issue.
But an experienced thief is always on a higher pedestal than a new thief, a new apprentice.
Okay, just want to, I want to bring in Sudhindra Kulkarni, but before that we're talking about alliances and of the craziest type. So, if, for example, the AIDMK, let's have a look at the data from the poll. If the AIDMK allied with the BJP in this election, we saw, as Shekhar said, quite a significant advance of the BJP. Look at what would happen. The AIDMK allied, that's AIDMK plus BJP, 34 seats, and the DMK and others would be down to 4 seats. The votes would go up to 53%. That must be tempting because 34. And the other important issue in Karnataka,
in Tamil Nadu,
Tamil Nadu, sorry, is Jayalalitha going to be the third biggest, her party going to be the third biggest party? Let me bring in Sudhindra. Sudhindra, do you think, here we have, before we get Sudhindra, a third bit of information. We asked in Tamil Nadu who's the best person for Prime Minister, and Jayalalitha comes up on top, and she has said that I'm open to being Prime Minister. Rahul comes second and Modi comes third. So it's not, even for a BJP leader, 30% is still pretty high in Tamil Nadu, but it's not driving ahead of the others. It's still Jayalalitha on top. So Sudhindra, is there ever any possibility of the AIDMK and the BJP allying together in Tamil Nadu?
No, certainly not before the election.
Not before.
After the election, everything is open. But the point that you made earlier about Tamil Nadu, it's one of the big swing states. In the past, there always used to be one of the two Dravidian parties having a big victory and the other almost getting decimated. Now that is not going to happen this time. The DMK is a strong party with a strong cadre base, but as was pointed out by Cho, the family feud has hurt the party very badly. One thing that is helping AIADMK is one of the very populist schemes that the government has initiated, the almost free 1 rupee idli scheme. You know, these pro-poor schemes that actually are seen to benefit will help the party significantly.
Right, right. Okay, we just got to move on. I think it's an amazing result. Cho, thank you very much for contradicting yourself, but you got out of it by saying an experienced thief gets it more in the neck.
One thing, Prannoy,
yeah,
with your polling, the DMDK is joining the BJP alliance, so the BJP alliance has got to fare better.
Ah, right.
I think yours was done before they joined the BJP alliance.
Correct. Yes, it was. So we'll add that in. We are doing a series of polls, and we'll keep tracking them.
Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed. Thanks very much. Let's go quickly across now to West Bengal, Amar Shomanar Bangla, where Dorab spent the best years of his life. Let's have a look at the forecast for West Bengal. Let's have a look at the seat forecast first before we look at the Bengal votes forecast. Here's, before we go into the seats forecast, Dorab, this is again a state where we've seen a huge change.
Also, the entire psephology business become much more difficult because the alliances have changed.
Right.
How disentangle Congress and the Trinamool Congress, which fought together last time, fighting together, fighting separately this time. It is a very, but you know, one thing we've noticed over the years is that as the cadres, it's the cadres actually belong to not, I think they're not ideologically committed cadres, they're cadres that support a government. When the government moves, the cadres have moved wholesale. So now Mamata is enjoying the same benefits in a way that the communists enjoyed for many years.
Okay, let's have a look at the seats forecast now. We've got it up. It's data is continually being churned as we speak. Here's the seats forecast. The TMC, 32 out of the 42 seats. That's up 13 seats since last time.
But last time it fought by itself.
And it
by separate,
fought jointly with the Congress.
Yeah.
The left, 9, down 6 seats since last time. That will be very disappointing for the left. And the Congress down to just 1 seat. So the breakup of these two. Siddharth, just once before I ask you whether this is a temporary or permanent factor for the left, let's just have a look at the votes forecast. Let's have a look at the votes forecast for Bengal. For 42 seats, the TMC 47%, the left 30%, still a strong base but way below 17% gap, and the BJP, as Shekhar was saying, BJP up to 10%, 2% higher than the Congress.
This tells you that there is a basic tectonic shift taking place in national politics. That BJP is now becoming a truly national party, much more than it was. It's crossing the Vindhyas much more decisively. And this is the time for Congress to get really worried, because in all these states there is space for one national party. So far Congress party enjoyed that position.
Right.
It's already beginning to lose that to the BJP in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, 2 states where the BJP did not matter at all.
Right. Let's just bring in somebody who knows the Bengal scene inside out, Rudranshu
I thought that
Mukherjee.
was you.
Me too. I mean, my modesty will never allow. Rudranshu, thanks very much for joining us. Were you expecting this kind of a pretty strong vote for Mamata? Because she's had quite a few setbacks over the last couple of years.
Indeed.
Sorry?
Yes, I was indeed, because her popularity, despite what you call the setbacks, her popularity remains undiminished. And what is more important is that the left over the last 2.5 years has practically made no attempt at all to retrieve the ground that it lost in the previous elections. So I think it's a mixture of both factors, the positive popularity of Mamata Banerjee and the default of the left, complete default of the left.
Very interesting you say that. Yes,
it
they
just
seem
has
to,
no program.
They seem to not be fighting back at all. Why is that? What's your understanding of why that's happening? There's no fight back, no counter-attack. It's kind of just lying down and being walked over. Why is that?
Yeah. I think Dora made a very important point. In West Bengal, the so-called cadre of political parties move with where the power is. So for 34 years at the street level, the cadre exercised power on behalf of the left front and particularly in behalf of the Communist Party of India, Marxist. This has completely shifted and gone over to the Trinamool. So the left really have no fighting prowess left at all. So it's in shambles really. And the leadership, the West Bengal and the national
What about the leadership? The left leadership.
They just have no clue about what to do about this. They just have no clue about what to do about this. And I also want to support Shekhar when he says that there is a tectonic shift taking place, because this kind of gain for the BJP is remarkable for the state of West Bengal. And
you sense it? Do you sense it on the ground? You feel people are talking?
Yes, I do. I wouldn't be surprised if the gain is more than 2%, and I would hazard the guess that this is a backlash of Mamata's assiduous wooing of the Muslim vote. I think the middle class is rather alarmed at this kind of wooing of the minority vote.
That's interesting. Right. We also asked here, just like we did in Tamil Nadu, who do the people of Bengal feel would make the best Prime Minister? Let's see if the results are any different. Here we are. Best Prime Minister, Mamata top of the list, 43%, Rahul 29%, and Narendra Modi 28%. Very similar to Tamil Nadu. In fact, if Mamata does get 32 seats, she and Jayalalitha are pretty close to being the third biggest party. Is that important, being the third biggest?
I think it's not the individual party being the third biggest, but what the collective heft of the third, fourth, fifth regional parties might be at the national level. I think it's opened up a tantalizing prospect for let's say that, and we look at the UP numbers tomorrow, but if what are being called well, I won't say it. I mean the three leading ladies of from these states, if they poll somewhere close to 100 seats.
Right.
And then you add in others. I mean, you're looking at the so-called federal front hitting about 150. And if the BJP doesn't find it easy to get past them, get to a magic figure, you could well have a situation where this federal front gets propped up by a party like the BJP from the outside. So I think it's for them, and the question of it's not the question you've asked about who's the ideal prime ministerial candidate. I think it's not an idle question, because in Tamil Nadu, in Bengal, obviously people would aspire to have their person be PM, and the numbers and the kind of formations that emerge, this is not beyond the realm of possibility, certainly as far as the Tamil Nadu is concerned.
I just want to ask Rudranshu one thing before he goes. Rudranshu, is this a temporary phase? I mean, temporary in politics means 5-10 years, 2 elections for the left, or is it a secular decline? Secular in the terms of a long-term decline?
But that's a cruel expression.
Cruel expression, sorry.
With a 30% vote share base, I can't see this as a permanent secular decline. I mean, they are surely going to pull up. I think the leadership needs to get its act together and not be as demoralized as they are at the moment. I just want to make one point quickly, Prannoy, if I may, that I wonder if that figure showing Mamata Banerjee as the ideal Prime Minister, so far West Bengal's people are concerned, would suffer a decline given the poor performance in Delhi 2 days ago.
Yes, this was done before that. But do you think that kind of one-day phenomenon could change it that much?
No, but I think there is the sense, mind you, I'm just giving a very impressionistic thing. There is a sense that she is sort of very good in a small pond, but in a big pond she really cannot swim at all.
But you know, Anna's endorsement has obviously made her widen her ambitions.
Wider, but can I test a hypothesis with Rudrangshu, who's much
completely
wiser?
misplaced, that endorsement.
No, we're not going into the merits of it.
Rudrangshu, there is a hypothesis that the left is declining so rapidly in Calcutta for the same reason that now Congress is declining, say, in Delhi. That just as Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi has taken away the Congress party's agenda in Delhi. That's what Mamata has done to the left. She's just more left of the left. Just as Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi is more left of the Congress.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I mean, I don't think Mamata has done anything different than what the left tried to do when it was in power for 34 years. If you take away the last 2-3 years of Buddhadev Bhattacharya's chief ministership, Mamata Banerjee is actually a left chief minister, and she has taken the wind out of the leftist sails. That's all.
But I thought there was a tectonic shift to the right.
Tectonic shift to two extremes.
That's so far.
Yes.
I just want to last word with Sudhindra
so
on this. Sudhindra,
Tectonic shift in terms of national party's position.
No, that's only for the gains of the BJP. That's only for the gains of the BJP.
Sudhindra, I just wanted to ask you, would you expect Mamata to support the BJP at the centre if it needs her support to form a government?
See, it has happened in the past.
Yes.
You know, she was part of the NDA when Vajpayee was Prime Minister, so it cannot be ruled out. But it is certainly going to be difficult with Narendra Modi as Prime Minister, because we must remember that in West Bengal, the Muslim vote is very decisive.
Very strong and very strongly in her favor.
Yes. Shekhar made a important point that there is a tectonic shift.
Right.
10% for the BJP is certainly very creditable. But the real tectonic shift is, whether BJP can go from 10% to 15 to 20, and that cannot happen unless the BJP gains a sizable support of the Muslim community. Without that happening, the BJP cannot really be called a national party in a social sense of the term.
Interesting. Yep. Okay, thanks very much, Rudrangshu.
Can I just introduce a corrective here? I mean, in terms of the BJP's vote share, I mean, there's been times actually when, like in 1991, BJP's vote share was as high as 12%. And then in the last election was 6%. So I think, one has seen periodic ups and downs that probably mirror, national equations without necessarily registering a tectonic shift on the ground. That's
but if you're seeing it across all the states,
but
no, but even in Tamil Nadu, the BJP has, it's never won a seat.
But if in the states of Tamil Nadu and Kolkata, a BJP candidate for Prime Minister, a regional leader who's never been seen in Delhi, right? A regional leader is getting the same rating as a member of the Gandhi family. It is a tectonic shift.
Undoubtedly, but that's because of Modi.
Can I say
Yes,
something?
but
for the first...
I just have to move on because otherwise we are just going to not reach the end of the various states we're trying to do today. Quickly move on to Rajasthan, which is also fascinating, although we've just had an assembly election there which was swept by the BJP. Let's have a look at what the poll forecasts are for Rajasthan. Here we are, the BJP out of 25 seats, 19 seats. That's a huge gain of 15 seats since the last election. And the Congress losing all those seats down to 5. And others 1 seat, same as last time. Let's have a look at the vote share in Rajasthan. Here's what the opinion poll there. Again, plus or minus 2%. You should always take that health warning. BJP 48%. It's virtually a two-party system. Both of them coming to about 93%. 83%. 35% for the Congress. A swing away of 12%. 12% swings are enormous. On the ground in Rajasthan is Sandeepan Sharma, who's a columnist with First Post and former editor of the news DNA. Thanks very much for joining us from Jaipur, Sandeepan. Is it clear that the BJP, which did so well just recently in the assembly elections, was just going to repeat that performance here? Can you feel that? Can you sense that?
Well, Dr. Rai, after seeing the results of your survey, I think the Congress would be very happy. Because I've been speaking to their leaders for the past 2 months and all of them predict that we are going to be wiped out. And I think they would be celebrating by seeing that their party is going to win 7 seats. Because nobody in the Congress at the moment believes that they are going to cross even 2 seats in Rajasthan. And there are several reasons for that. In the Vidhan Sabha elections, they won just 10% of the seats. And historically, Rajasthan has always voted in the Lok Sabha for the party which wins the Vidhan Sabha elections. Now, the problem with Rajasthan is that the Congress leaders, most of them including leaders like C.P. Joshi, including people like Sachin Pilot, they are not confident of retaining their own seats. They are looking for safer seats across Rajasthan. So I think this 7 seats which your survey is forecasting is...
5 we forecast
make
5.
them jubilant. They would be very happy to understand.
Okay, just one more question. How much of this victory is due to Vasundhara Raje and how much to Modi? Or is it like 50-50? What do you feel?
I think there were 2 components to the BJP victory last time. One was the anti-Ashok Gehlot vote and the other was the pro-BJP vote which we can divide accordingly between Modi and Vasundhara Raje. So it would be interesting in this election to find out how much of that anti-Gehlot vote still goes against the Congress because they have changed the party leaders, they have changed the CLP leader, they have brought in Sachin Pilot. So this anti-Gehlot vote, the anti-Gehlot voters, they might be little less angry than last time. So I believe the you are forecasting that the Congress would actually get around 35% votes, which is slightly more than what they got in the Vidhan Sabha election. So I think that's a huge gain for the Congress. And the BJP, which won 46% in the Vidhan Sabha polls, is getting around only 48% votes. Yeah, so the Congress is actually gaining according to your forecast.
Yep. It's interesting that you're saying that the Congress would be thrilled with 5 out of 25 seats. That's an amazing statement. Thanks very much for joining us. I'd like to move straight on to Delhi because that too has just had a assembly election. Let's have a look at the results of the opinion poll for Delhi. Remember, there are 7 seats in Delhi, of which, according to the poll, the Aam Aadmi Party will get 4. Of course, it had 0 last time, didn't exist. It's a gain of 4. The BJP 2 and the Congress 1. And what does that signify in terms of votes for each party? Let's have a look at the votes that we are giving both votes and seats, so you can do your own conversions. As Siddharth said, it is a tricky thing to do the seats to vote conversion in more than a 2-party system. But look at that, AAP 34%, BJP 32% and the Congress 23%. A huge decline. One last thing, if we have a look at, we asked everybody, if there was another assembly election now, would the Aam Aadmi Party win again? And we'll bring up those results in just a second as soon as they come in. But Dorab, did this surprise you that even here the Aam Aadmi Party is doing better than it did in the assembly election?
I think the assembly election was just on the way up. It's just picking up 5 or 6%, and I think as we were talking of leadership, neither the BJP's leadership nor the Congress leadership in Delhi is enormously charismatic, or I mean, it's not pulling in votes, and I think they're on the high at the moment. I think we should wait for 2 months still to go to election. So early days, but I think this looks to me a very reasonable forecast.
So overall, in terms of our All India survey, Delhi is still the only place where the Aam Aadmi Party has registered not only a significant but an improvement and a decisive improvement. It was early days, but so far it hasn't managed to spread this same experience to other...
But frankly, if I was an Aam Aadmi supporter, party supporter, I would be disappointed with this. I think I would have then expected my party to be doing much better than Delhi. Because if in Delhi it's only 2% gap between them and the BJP?
34 and 32, yes.
34 and 32. Then it doesn't... It will be a disappointment.
It's a 7% turnaround, 5 or 7% turnaround since the assembly.
That's okay, but they've been on a high because they got 28 seats because nobody imagined they could come to power. If then people had thought that they were a credible choice, they would have got 40 seats.
But I must bring in, this is Lok Sabha.
Right.
Then we asked them, if there was assembly, who would you vote for? And look at the results of that. Let's have a look at we asked people, would you vote for the Aam Aadmi Party again? They would win again. They would win with 35%. BJP down to 21.
In fact, they would win, not they would win again. Last time they did not win.
Sorry, yes. They would form government.
They were number 2.
Quite right, yeah. They would form government again. So in a way, is there a dichotomy, Siddharth, that there is the upper middle class that are disillusioned, but there's still a huge support for the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi at the grassroots?
I think this was apparent around the time of the Khidki incident and the dharna that he had, that there was a lot of, I think, disillusionment and disenchantment among the intelligentsia, upper middle class people, which was simply not reflected on the ground.
Right.
If anything, those theatrics seem to have actually increased the popularity and support for the Aam Aadmi Party. And also, I mean, I've been traveling in other states in the last month and a half, 2 months, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh. Right. You'd be surprised at the resonance that the AAP has, even in villages in Chhattisgarh, for example. People are talking about it, people know about it. I was speaking to somebody who just came back from Kutch, and they were saying even there is a lot of, enthusiasm and excitement. I suspect polls that are held as candidates get declared and the campaign picks up may reflect some of this, but I don't think an AAP, I think 34% in Delhi and 4 MPs, if this is what the survey, if this is correct, I think it's quite an admirable, I think a AAP person would actually feel quite heartened by this, because to win, it's one thing to win the assembly elections, but
let me just,
there's a significant set of figures there. AAP's vote share gain is 34% because they didn't have any.
Right.
Congress Party's vote share loss is 34%.
Exactly.
I think
exactly the same.
I think there's an error. I'm not sure.
Okay, let me just bring in Sudhindra here. Sudhindra, your take on the Aam Aadmi Party. As Siddharth says, and we also found that people are aware of it in the country in our poll, but it's not been converted into votes yet. That needs an organization, or do you think it could happen spontaneously? What's your view on the Aam Aadmi Party's impact in the next elections?
If we just go by at least the 4 states that you've covered so far, it's quite clear that Aam Aadmi Party is registering its presence only in Delhi. It has no impact in Karnataka, no impact in Tamil Nadu, no impact in Rajasthan, and perhaps this would also get reflected in other states that you would be covering from now onwards. Aam Aadmi Party's performance in this election is going to be in and around Delhi. It has got a huge lift in the media. It's a party that is impatient to perform. Had they actually performed in governance in Delhi, built the organization, perhaps some tangible progress would have been seen, not now but in future elections. But this kind of impatience has never helped any party.
Right. Interesting point. Do you think they should not have formed the government in Delhi? That was part of the impatience, a mistake?
If they formed the government, then they'd have stuck to it and
just in their own
taken
interest.
on the responsibility of governance.
Right. Okay, as we're just pushing to move on, I'm being shouted in my ear that we got to move on. Let's move on to Haryana and see what the opinion poll says in terms of the seat distribution in Haryana. Remember, Haryana has 10 seats, not one of the bigger states, but an important state. Here's what the poll says for Haryana. The BJP alliance, 7 out of 10, that's a gain of 6 seats. And the Congress 3, down 6, Dora.
Yeah.
Now the BJP still has the option of allying with Chautala. Would that change this dramatically?
You see, I was looking at the second preference votes. The INLD voters are relatively more willing to vote for a BJP candidate than the BJP voters willing to vote for an INLD candidate. So the question is, only Mayawati can transfer all her votes lock, stock and barrel. In the rest, it's a trade-off. And I think the BJP's ability to transfer its votes to INLD is limited. I mean, I think the entire culture of the party is different. And, after Mr. Yediyurappa, do you want to take a guy with 2 guys sitting in jail as your partners is something that I think the BJP has to evaluate in real politics.
Shekhar, this is your home turf.
Yes, right.
One thing that surprised me, the Aam Aadmi Party did not register strong enough here to get a seat. Again, early days, things may change. A, does that surprise you? And B, do you see the BJP again doing a bit of arithmetic of alliances and going with Chautala, or is that just going one step too far?
Well, I think second question first. I'll be very surprised if they go with Chautala, particularly if they take your opinion poll seriously, which I am sure they will.
Not sure.
You better be careful.
They'll be the only ones.
You better be careful. Because it won't bring them that much incremental benefit. It will also cause a very bad buzz around the country, across the country. Having said that, your first question, Aam Aadmi Party in Haryana. Haryana was not really a state for Aam Aadmi Party to grow into. Haryana is largely, it's a very urbanized state, but it's still a state with a very rural mind when it comes to voting. It's a state with strong local politics. Aam Aadmi Party, the most fertile ground for it is states where local politics is not very strong, say as in Delhi. It will struggle in Bombay also because Bombay has very strong local politics. Bombay has Shiv Sena, BJP, it has RPI, it has the Congress, NCP.
If you just have a quick look, because you'll understand this better than all of us put together, at the votes forecast for Haryana. Just have a look at how strong INLD still is. Let's have a look at what the opinion poll says for the votes in Haryana. Here's what it looks like. Remember, for the 10 seats we're talking about, BJP and its ally, 29%, Congress 26%, pretty narrow, and there's a plus or minus 2%, INLD 17%, so they'd sweep all 10, and the BSP 4%.
Well,
so,
you know,
but you're right, I mean, could go by 3 seats.
Say about 25% of Haryanvis are Jats, right? Those are divided, so the lion's share of that goes to Mr. Chautala, and Mr. Huda has made a difference to Congress party because he's begun to get some of that Jat vote. Now, in fact, the interesting factor about Aam Aadmi Party is, and one reason why many people thought it will do very well in Haryana, besides the fact that Haryana is next to Delhi, in fact, most of us Haryanvis think Delhi should have been the capital of Haryana. Two of the most significant leaders of Aam Aadmi Party are Haryanvis. That is Arvind Kejriwal and Yogendra Yadav.
Yeah.
In fact, that tells you the real power of us Haryanvis. Two Haryanvis from a state that only sends 10 MPs to parliament, and now this entire country on the run.
In fact, Yogendra Yadav has a very tough fight on his hands. I mean, Gurgaon looks like an urban seat, but there's huge rural pockets.
Yes,
and,
of course.
No, Gurgaon has a large Muslim vote. So, in fact, I mean, his fate will depend on where do the mayors vote. Because Gurgaon has its caste politics. It is very strong with Haryana's equivalent of the Yadavs, the Raos, and Indrajit Singh is there.
He himself is telling us BJP.
It's his family vote for many generations.
Okay, we did say at the start that at a particular point we would try and explain the methodology, and we've got the man behind this entire exercise. It's been a wonderful experience working with Ashok Das of Hansa. Ashok, never worked so hard in your life?
He's a bong like you.
No, you made me work hard many times.
But this has been one of the most rigorous exercises. Explain some of the new technologies and methodologies we've used in terms of how have you ensured more randomization, etc.
The equipment you use.
Basically, yeah, I'll tell. Yeah, we'll come to that. Basically, in the past, in most election opinion polls, the sampling used to be typically door-to-door sampling after we select the starting points. This time, every respondent has been selected randomly from the electoral rolls. So we are not going to people who may not be, voters but live in the area, etc. So this time is the first time, at least I have done a completely random sample of every voter that's there, and they have been selected from, for every parliamentary constituency, we've gone to 3 randomly selected assemblies. And in each, we've selected a number of booths and gone to 24 people selected randomly again in each booth. So it's a true random sampling exercise in that sense.
Now, one more thing we've done, which is actually quite different, is that you've tried wherever possible, and you'll be increasing this, to get women interviewers to question women voters. Traditionally, it's just basically all field workers are men. No, most.
Rural areas in
basically, most of the field workers tend to be men, particularly those who actually have to go, because in the election opinion poll, you really have to go into rural areas to do your questioning. And typically, a sort of lady in the village would be a little reluctant to talk to a man from the town coming to interview her. So what we've tried to do is put as many women interviewers as we can, and actually divided the parts of the booths and selected only women in certain in part of the booth, so that the women interviewers can go there to maximize that. Now that's again a change. The other big change is that this is the first time we have actually used tablet computers to capture the information, the voting intention data as well. Where everything is programmed in, and we have actually got the, sort of to check on the authenticity of the data. We have the latitude and longitude data. So where was the interview conducted is sort of seen
Prannoy, should be
for every single interview.
What special skills do his survey teams have that people actually tell them who they will vote for?
They don't have to.
Because
they
when we go around asking people,
I'll
they say go take a
No,
walk.
what
Shekhar,
he
they
does
don't.
is
They
he
press
has
the
a
button.
tablet and they
No.
they face
So
it
we
and
have
they
a
press the
refusal. We
thing, so
have
you
a
don't know who they
refusal.
voted for. You don't. They don't actually tell you.
What-
It's
we
like
don't
an
have- you don't have to
electronic
tell us
voting
who they
machine.
voted
Actually,
for.
you're training them for the
Next time
electronic
we-
voting
that this
machine.
methodology
We should also do that and rig the machines.
Yeah, I'll just clarify that. Hello.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm sitting in a studio where I can't see anything. So let me just clarify this.
You're lucky.
We don't actually ask the person to say whom they have to vote for. We give them the tablet where all the party symbols are there, and they only have to touch the symbol that they will vote for, and the interviewer can't see because the tablet is turned towards the respondent. So they don't have to actually have to utter the word as to the party name or the symbol. They only have to touch the symbol on the screen. So by this process, we hope that they don't really actually come out and tell people openly what they are
Ashok,
doing.
thanks very much. We'll be doing many more exercises during the next 2 months. We've already started on another one as we speak, and you also, for the first time, using phone calls in urban areas to recheck and revalidate if people have changed their minds.
Correct.
SMS.
The
Then Aam Aadmi
telephone
Party
rechecks
will do
also
better.
happen.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. All that methodology which flashed by is available in more detail on our website, so you can go to ndtv.com and look at the methodology that we've used. We're trying to be as transparent as possible. We take a short break. When we come back, the big state of Maharashtra. Fascinating.